I took this picture at a local brick and mortar bookstore. I'm not going to mention the chain because I don't know if putting these books together like this was a company idea or if it was some local schmuck who thought of it herself. Anyways, one thing I learned is that you get store attention pretty quickly if you're seen taking a picture inside the store. I mean, I can wander on aimlessly for indefinite periods of time in this particular location and not be asked if I need assistance. And then when I do ask a question, and it's not very often, but I've gotten the eye roll from sales associates. I know they have a lot to do, and maybe my questions are stupid. I don't know, like I can be staring right at a book and not see it. Anyway, as soon as I pulled out my phone and took a picture of this display, an employee was right next to me and asked, "Can I help you?" I probably looked like I needed help, but I don't need a self-help book. And anyway, when I saw this display, I thought, what? Why do so many self-help books have profanity in the titles? I mean, putting profanity in a book title is lame, no matter what the genre is. I noticed this a few years ago, some guy I'd never heard of, and can't think of the guy's name. He wrote a best-selling book called My Dad Says, and it's spelled S-H, and then he put the asterisk and to replace the I and then a T. I'm just gonna have to go ahead and say the profanity. I mean, that's the thing when they censor it, they spell out the word, but asterisk one of the letters, so they get past the censors or whatever. But when they do that, you still have to pronounce it. You can't say S, my dad says. I usually don't use profanity in my videos. Rarely in my blog unless I'm talking about profanity. I usually don't use it unless it's in my stories. But I try to keep these clean. But man, you force me when I talk about books and then you put profanity in the book titles, you force me to it. So I'm just going to have to go ahead and say it. The book is called Shit My Dad Says. And this is lame because the author's dad said all the funny stuff in the book and the author got the best-selling book. I guess if the dad had written the book and he would have had to call it Shit I Say, and then it probably would have sold as well. If you say stuff like that, it's better to say that somebody else said it. Because that way, if it's not funny, if it is funny, you get credit. But if the profanity backfires or if the crazy stories backfire, you can blame somebody else. Anyway, I can understand. I just lost my train of thought. I'll get it back. I can understand why an unknown author would put bad words in a book title because a struggling author has to do something to get attention. It's still lame. But the worst is when a celebrity puts profanity in a book title. Like a few years ago when celebrity, I guess he's a celebrity because he stars in his movies, but what's his name? Kevin Smith. He does comic books too sometimes. He put out a book called Tough Shit. Now that's kind of selfish when he used shit in his book title because he's diluting the shock value of profanity. And so he's actually stealing it from lesser known authors who might need it. I mean, he's a celebrity. He shouldn't need to put profanity in his book. It should sell. It should get it. His name by itself should get attention. And then there's that around the same time period though, is that children's book parody, which was go the fuck to sleep. And so I didn't buy the book. I was just reading it out of curiosity. It was just a one joke book, just repeated the end of each page was go the fuck to sleep or get the fuck to sleep or Anyways, it's kind of lame too. But this is worse. I got a bunch of self-help books. They're resorting to the use of bad words in the title. And these are just from one stand. So someone at the bookstore saw these books and thought, you know what, I'm going to put them in one, what's that called? Come on, when you put display. You put them all in one display. And so you have to notice it. I'd be kind of embarrassed to have some of these books. All right, so here's what we got. And I did put this in two pictures so they would fit the screen better. So if we start towards the bottom from the first picture, I might switch to the second picture because I had it all in one picture, but it doesn't fit the video screen very well. So I split it in half. So we've got Calm the Fuck Down by Sarah Knight. And it looks like she wrote another one called Get Your Shit Together. And so, at least she used different profanity for different books. And then we've got Unfuck Yourself by Gary John Bishop. So you got a guy whose last name is Bishop and he's putting the word fuck or unfuck, so I guess it's all right. And then we've got what's this? Find Your Fucking Happy by Monica Sweeney. And then moving upward, we've got Make Your Fucking Bed. Oh, wait, that one's just Make Your Bed. Okay, don't want to put profanity in books where they're not there. Stop Doing That Shit. Oh, it's Gary John Bishop again. So he's making got two authors here that are repeat offenders. And we keep going. Here we've got one called Fuck Feelings. And this one has three authors. No, it's two. Okay, sorry, got confused. Michael Bennett, MD, and Sarah Bennett. And they also wrote a book. They're the authors of Fuck Love. And then we've got How to Stop Feeling Like Shit by Andrea Owen. And then we've got the tip of one, which is, come on now, I can't read that, but I know I've seen it. That's the one that You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. Okay, I'm going to get to that one in a moment, but I remember self-help books haven't always been like this. When I was a kid in the 70s, the big self-help book was I'm okay, you're okay. It wasn't I'm fucking okay, you're fucking. It was just I'm okay, you're okay by and I looked this one up, Thomas A. Harris. But even back then, even at my young age, I knew that book title was a lie. I mean, I figured I might be okay, but I knew most other people weren't okay, and so the book title was lying. And I refused to read books that lie in the title. But at least there's no profanity back then. I mean, there was profanity back then, but not in the book titles. Anyways, I don't want to read books that lie and in the title, and that's why I refuse to read that book, You Are a Badass. Because a true badass isn't going to read the book, because a true badass doesn't need any advice that might be in the book. Probably isn't in the book. A true badass would see that title, You Are a Badass, and think, yes, I am a badass. Then the badass would keep walking. So it's a combination of lying and using profanity. So I really can't trust the author. And her last name is Sincero. So I wonder if that's fake. I put that in a blog. Used to mention her last name once, and someone suggested that was a fake last name. So I don't know. I haven't looked that up. And then there's one that's not in the picture, but I've seen it a lot, called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. That's also a lie, because the author obviously gives a fuck. If the author truly didn't give a fuck, he wouldn't censor the title. He'd just spell it F-U-C-K. You wouldn't have to put that little asterisk in there. Now, maybe it's the publisher who didn't want the word fuck fully spelled out, but in that case, an author who truly didn't give a fuck would have found a publisher who didn't care. So either way, the title's a lie. A few years ago, I wrote my own book called Crap Is Not a Bad Word, and I meant that as a joke because even a few years ago, I was complaining about profanity in book titles and how I thought that was lame, and so then I wrote a book with a word that some people think is profanity, crap. Except I don't think it really is profanity. At least I convinced myself that crap isn't really a bad word. And I guess I convinced myself so convincingly that I still get mad when I think of the times I was punished for saying crap when I was a kid. So anyways, even though I wrote that book a few years ago, I think it's still relevant. And I spell out the bad words in the book. And there are a lot of bad words because I explain why words are bad or considered bad. Even if you don't think words should be bad, I explain why there's the logic behind it, even if you disagree with the logic, which I understand. And it's not really a self-help book, except maybe for polite people. If you're going to put profanity in your self-help book, go all out. I mean, if you're going to put it in the title, go all out with it. I don't trust self-help gurus who are desperate enough to put profanity in their book titles. And I really don't trust them if they lie and use profanity. All right. So thanks for watching. And if you know of some other self-help books with profanity in the title, if you think profanity in book titles is lame, or if it's not even an issue, let me know in the comments. And if you agree with me, that's great. If you don't, well, then you can go fuck